You go back into Norman. Have you thought about the emotions when you walk into that stadium?
Yeah, it'll be unique. I had teammates and friends back there. They hit me up a little bit early. They were starting last week already. It'll be unique going back into that stadium. It's going to be a viewpoint. I'm not sure I've ever spent a day on the opposing sideline inside of that stadium, not even for a scrimmage. So it'll be different, but it's one that I'm really looking forward to. There's so many people that have been a huge part of my journey that I get a chance to go back and hopefully get a chance to say hi to a bunch of them. It starts with teammates. It's coaches that I had. It's a lot of coaches that I coached with. There's a lot of personnel that's still there. Guys that I coached, guy that was in my wedding. There's a lot of people back there that I'm familiar with and have a lot of respect for.
A homecoming of sorts as Josh Heupel and the Tennessee Volunteers come into town on Saturday. Welcome back to the SoonerScoop.com YouTube channel. Eddie Radosevich, George Stoya here, and it is Tuesday of game week. SEC opener coming up, 6:30 on ABC. Georgie boy, this is an exciting week. This is fun.
It's definitely the biggest game in Norman that I think I will have covered. I think maybe the 2017 TCU game. I think that was a top 10 matchup. It was a big game, but when you've
and this is just the second time in state history that you have two top 20 games on the same day. Obviously, up the road, Oklahoma State taking on Utah this weekend in Big 12 action. I think that was it was the 2017 game, OU TCU, as well as I believe it was Oklahoma State and Baylor. That was something Barry Trammell had put out earlier this week.
Yeah, it's exciting. Exciting time in the state. Obviously, huge week here in Norman. I think there's a lot of people out there not giving Oklahoma much of a chance in this game. We'll see. I think talking to Brent Venables today, he knows the challenge that they're up against with Josh Heupel's group. I mean, this Tennessee team has looked like one of the best, if not the best team in the country through 3 weeks.
They've been super impressive. We'll get into plenty of what Brent Venables had to say on Tuesday at his weekly press conference. A lot of reminiscing with Josh Heupel and a lot of, hey, this team's really effing good. We got to be ready for it. But good time to join SoonerScoop.com, a flash sale promo for you out there in the YouTube world. And all you got to do is go to SoonerScoop.com, 50% off an annual subscription. Use the promo code BOOMER to sign up. Really good time right now. I know that you have a lot of stuff here coming up on the back end, George, just talking about Josh Heupel's return, his effect still on the Oklahoma quarterbacks even to today.
Yeah, there's a really cool story. I won't reveal all of it yet. I want you guys out there to subscribe to read it later this week, but just it's not just him and the obviously winning a national championship. Sure. There's still stuff inside the program that Josh Heupel left his mark. So really cool story. Got to talk to a bunch of former OU quarterbacks, some of the OU greats over the last 20-some years since Josh arrived. So cool story, but also a lot of just good team info this week. I know on the site.
A lot of injury speculation that obviously we'll get an update on that on Wednesday evening is the first time that an availability report will come out from the SEC. Brent Venables talked about that a little bit, joking that, it might be news to him as well, who's on, who's out. But we'll just start here. It sounds like, we reported last night on the Crimson Corner, Branson Hickman, actually saw him walking around today without a boot on, leaving the press conference, which, I don't think that necessarily means, hey, he's going to start or anything. It does mean that he was out on the practice field. Obviously, the ankle's feeling a little bit better. Possibly Troy Everett's been practicing, as well as Jake Taylor, Nick Anderson speculation. We talked to Jackson Arnold on Monday night. Certainly sounds like he's going to play. I know that you wrote about that on Monday evening.
I mean, Jackson Arnold basically said he is going to play. I think his exact quote was, I'm excited for him to get back on the field on Saturday.
After toying with him for the first couple weeks.
Yeah, so I would anticipate Nick Anderson being back, which shouldn't be a surprise. We saw him go through warm-ups. I was a little surprised he didn't play a week ago, so be great to have him back for Oklahoma. I think Kendall Dolby as well on the defensive side of the football. I think he's going to be back. And then the offensive line, I think it's one of those situations they're probably testing early in the week. What can these guys do? Sure. What can't they do? Because I still think that they're probably going to be repping a lot of the guys that we saw this last Saturday with that first team, trying to get them as many reps as possible, thinking, you got to prepare as if those guys aren't going to be available. Right. But if they can get a Branson Hickman back, especially Hickman, I think that would be huge for the offensive line at that center position. Jake Taylor, I know, is battling through several things. Then Troy Everett. That's kind of the wild card at this point. I asked a couple weeks ago if he was close, didn't really get an answer. We'll see if he's able to at least suit up this Saturday. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw that.
And perhaps he could add a little depth to the guard position. Obviously a center by trade, and that's what he played a little bit last year. Obviously in the Alamo Bowl, but you never know what's going to happen here. You just need
all
more
the
bodies.
depth you can get. Yes,
exactly right.
Especially guys that have played football. I mean, Troy Everett's a guy that's played a good amount of football, whether it was at Oklahoma last year or Appalachian State a couple years ago.
You mentioned that this is probably one of the biggest home games Oklahoma's had in a long, long time. I think that, the Notre Dame game comes to mind, obviously 2016 with Ohio State coming to town. Tennessee is the highest ranked team Oklahoma has played since number 3 Ohio State came to town in 2016. It was an interesting question today, though. Obviously they want the crowd involved. And Barry Trammell asked it, can Oklahoma just all of a sudden play better than what they have over the first 3 games?
I think they can. It was interesting. Brent said to that about, the expectation of playing their best game on Saturday. And I think that, if they want to win this football game, that has to happen. So I'm interested to see how Oklahoma plays. I'm also just excited to see what this crowd looks like. I tweeted it out, but, back in 2008 when Bob Stoops kind of called out the crowd and was like, we need, a raucous crowd in the stadium when Texas Tech comes in. We heard it from Danny Stutsman last night, kind of talking a little bit about the crowd and wanting them to be juiced up. Oklahoma needs all the help it can get. And I think if you can have a crazy, rowdy crowd, and I'm not a huge, home field advantage guy when it comes to that, but I do think when you're facing a young quarterback like Nico, it can have a huge effect. And you talk about the helmet communication, what goes into that, and up-tempo offense, which we'll get into. I think the crowd can play a huge factor Saturday night.
I'll never forget walking into the 2008 game with my dad, actually, and we pounded a couple pocket shots before going in.
Nice.
Blackout. Blackout would be the word.
12 years old.
How many pocket shots did you have?
Too many that
Maybe
night.
a Capri Sun that day.
Definitely a Capri.
I
love Capri Sun.
The what?
I love Capri Sun.
Well, Capri Sun, I think it's kind of over for Capri Sun.
Oh.
They put it in a bottle. It's not in the nonetheless.
juice pack?
Brent Venables was asking. They play a little bit better than what Oklahoma fans have seen through the first 3 games as well. Talking about the crowd on Saturday night.
Yeah, you want to, the history in the SEC, it's really difficult and challenging to win on the road in the SEC. And, I will not be surprised if that's the kind of atmosphere that Oklahoma creates. It's going to take that. That's part of it, as well. But I think, we'll have the center stage in college football on Saturday night, and our fans won't disappoint.
You said it. You've not played as well as you wanted to. They played about as well as anybody could. Mm-hmm. But can that change in week 4? Can a team sort of blossom?
Yeah, my expectation is we're going to play our best 4 quarters of football on Saturday night in all 3 phases. That's the focus. We've laid out a plan this week that allows us to do so, and we got to work our butt off. We got to make sure that we get the plan down early in the week, and so that we can, fine tune that plan and the fundamentals, the physicality, the good on good work, and then you got to take the player's responsibility, all those things that you learn and the habits that you've developed and built upon throughout the course of the week, then you got to take that to game day. And it's going to be incredibly emotional, and they'll have great passion and energy and enthusiasm, and those things are great. But that only lasts so long. This is a game of physicality and a game of execution, and so that's what we need to be able to take to the field, and that'll allow us to play well and well enough to win, whatever it takes to win. And that's again the focus. But certainly, Barry, to your question, can that happen? Absolutely. The next opportunity is sitting right in front of us, and that's where our eyes are fixed.
Obviously, one of the big storylines going into this week, and it was talked about quite a bit on Tuesday with Brent. Josh Heupel, as you saw at the beginning of the program, talking about it on Monday at his press conference back in Knoxville, but his return. I mean, it truly is a weird scenario with Somebody that, I think that we both grew up watching, obviously getting to the pinnacle of what Oklahoma football is supposed to be, winning a national championship, the fallout in 2014. Fascinating storylines with Josh Heupel returning to Norman.
It's one of the best storylines, I think, in college football this season. Not only this week, but you look at what Josh Heupel meant to this program. He helped turn this thing around. He helped build this into what it is today. One of the greatest quarterbacks in school history, the last to win a national championship, comes back, is a coach, and doesn't go the way that I think anybody wanted it to. And you look at the paths, from Oklahoma and where Heupel went, and I think it worked out for everybody.
100%.
Right? I think at that time it sucked, I'm sure, for Bob Stoops. And, I thought it was interesting. He put out a statement saying that he wasn't going to do any interview requests this week, which makes a lot of sense. I'm sure his phone's been ringing off the hook with stuff. But I think there's still probably some rifts there. But I think you look at what Josh has been able to accomplish in his career since he left Oklahoma. I think he had to kind of reset his mindset and kind of reevaluate himself as a coach, and he's had tremendous success. I mean, what he's done at Tennessee, I would have never guessed 10 years ago.
Hand up. I was one of the people when Danny White moved from Central Florida to Tennessee, and then you heard the, basically rumors or mumblings that it was going to be Josh Heupel that was going to join him. I think there was a lot of people, particularly in the Oklahoma fan base, that said, no way he's going to find any type of success.
And look what he's done. He's done a great job recruiting. The offense that he's created at Tennessee is one of, if not the best in the country the last few years. He's done a tremendous job, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see on Saturday. I think the fans are going to be, obviously, they want Oklahoma to win, but they're going to be welcoming. I think that for the most part, Sooner Nation, OU fans, the coaching staff, the program, they know what Josh Heupel means to this program and what he did for this group 24 years ago, winning a national title, the way he went about himself, what he gave to the program, I think means a lot. I know that they're going to do some sort of tribute. I don't know what that'll look like. Some sort of tribute to Josh, I think, as well as maybe the 2000 national championship team. I know a lot of his former teammates and some of the players from that team are going to be in town, have talked to Josh this week. There's guys on staff. I mean, Brent Venables was the defensive coordinator on staff. Several guys that played for him, whether it's Joe John Finley, DeMarco Murray. So many different connections. It's going to be really cool to see Eddie. And then once the game gets played, I think everybody, all bets are off.
Seth Luttrell, a teammate, another captain
on
that 2000
team captains. Josh Norman was his college roommate.
Sure.
And he's in the Soul Mission program. So there's a lot of connections. I'm sure it's going to be emotional for everyone involved.
Tuesday was a little bit of story time with Brent Venables, as well as George asking him, Brent, about Josh Heupel's legacy in Norman.
Yeah, those are great questions, and I'll be a true serum here. We wanted Akili Smith, Mike and I. We were only here for a couple of days, and we were at Kansas State, and we knew Mike recruited California, and Akili was coming out of whatever junior college, Mount Sac or somewhere, and he was the prototypical dude. I can't remember how big he was, but he was a big, strong, strapping dude that could spin it. He looked the part, could run, could pass, and we didn't know anything about Josh, but he was outside of the office windows. There's the quarterback. He's on a visit, and there was maybe two guys on a visit, and he was one of them. And he was outside we had an old turf field down there, and he was playing catch. And again, I'm saying this with incredible appreciation and respect for Josh. Couldn't have been more wrong. Don't judge a book by its cover. And he was skinny and just frail. And it was in the middle of winter, just kind of pasty. And the ball was coming on. It was southpaw, probably hadn't played in, a couple of months. And the ball was wobbly. Josh could occasionally do that. And we're like, that ain't it. And Leach, he didn't want to bring Akili Smith in on a visit. No, not interested. And
yeah, Brent, kind of going off that with Josh, it's been 10 years since he was the offensive coordinator here. I know that didn't end probably the way that anybody wanted it to. What do you think just his legacy is here at OU, and how do you think the reception will be for him with the fans when he comes back here on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I know speaking from, coaches and again, also being a fan, I was a fan too. there can't be someone with a stronger legacy. He's a national championship coach, and timing's everything. And there was a period where Oklahoma hadn't had a winning season for I don't know how many years in a row was it? 5 straight years of not going to a bowl game, and the first year going 7-5, and then out of nowhere, to go 13-0, and several games within that year. Oklahoma was an underdog or again had to come from behind in those games where you really felt Sooner magic was reignited, and he was a catalyst of that. And people won't forget that. And that's, just, as we all know, man, that's one of the coolest things about college football. It brings so much joy. You reflect to so many moments that enriches your life because of those moments of success and winning and overcoming. We all feel like we were a part of that. And so both personally and then professionally. And then, again, make no mistake, Oklahoma fans are going to see Coach Heupel, take a loss on Saturday night. And there will be nobody that, feels bad if they don't do well. We know that. But people pull for people, and I think this is one of those times that you put the logo aside and he's got an amazing legacy at this university.
It's going to be a cool moment come Saturday night. You can watch Brent Venables' entire press conference right here on the Soonerscoop.com YouTube channel. I thought one of the things that we didn't include in the presentation here was him talking about his friendship with Torrance Marshall and two guys coming from completely different backgrounds. Aberdeen, South Dakota, obviously, for Josh. Miami, Florida for Torrance Marshall. And those two kind of being the real units of that team that brought the offense and defense together.
I mean, they helped turn around the entire program. And, I think that's what made that 2000 national championship team so special. It was funny, you and I were talking to a couple other people that maybe weren't around or don't know the history as much. And we were talking about that team. And
it was 24 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy. And just the amount of talent they had on that team and just guys that you look around and what they meant to this program and the success a lot of them have gone on to have in their personal lives or in the coaching ranks, I think is pretty incredible. But I can't wait to see. I think it's going to be a really cool pregame. I'm sure there's going to be some moments where Josh, embraces some of his former teammates and stuff. And then the game. And I think that the game is just fascinating. Like it'd be one thing if one of these teams wasn't very good, right? Or if it was going to be this lopsided game. I think it's going to be a close game. I think both these teams are really good. I think Josh has done a tremendous job turning Tennessee into an offensive juggernaut. And then you look at Brent Venables in this defense. This is what he's been building for 3 years. Like, he has wanted to build a defense that can compete at the highest level in the SEC, and this is really the first test that
you want it. Come get it.
I mean, it's the biggest test he's had. He said that today, and I think that we're going to really find out is it up to that standard that he wants it to be.
Before we get into the Tennessee juggernaut offensively, which they're damn good, we need to tell you about our friends with HomeFieldApparel.com. You can see it right behind me, HomeFieldApparel.com. 15% off your first order using the promo code SCOOP, SCOOP. And it's something that we have both done for some of our family members. Really good stuff. Even if you're not even looking for some Oklahoma stuff, you can still use it. 15% off first order. They were in town last week for the Tulane game, had some pop-ups, and we went out and saw our buddy Josh with Home Field. Absolutely fantastic support from the Oklahoma fan base over there at the Standard, which is a beautiful place, a beer garden type feel over at the off Gray Street, just north of Campus Corner, and they sold out of everything.
Yeah, it was awesome. Really cool to see how many people came out and was interested in their stuff. And I think the one thing is, so I already put in my order to get a bunch of stuff for my family, and the material is just top tier. Like,
absolutely.
It's awesome, and it just looks really good too.
Visit HomeFieldApparel.com. 15% off your first order using promo code SCOOP. We love all of the fine folks over at Homefield. And here we go. Tennessee offensively, damn good. A couple of the numbers that were just being thrown about. 63.7 points per game. Obviously, Chattanooga and Kent State, not so much. Tennessee State, they're at least a breathing opponent. Plus 178 in scoring differential. That is actually the best scoring differential through the first 3 weeks of a season in SEC history, and here they come to Norman, George.
They're really good at every position. We heard Brent talk a lot about the offensive line today for Tennessee. I think that's a really talented group. Lance Hurd, a lot of you will remember that name. Oklahoma was trying to get him out of the transfer portal back in the spring. Left tackle from LSU. Now he's starting at left tackle for Tennessee. Really good player. Their center, I think, is one of the highest graded centers in the country.
Cooper Mays.
Yep, he's played really good football so far through 3 weeks. You look at the receiver spot; they've got a lot of really good playmakers. Running back, I believe their running back, is he leading the country in rushing or one of the?
It's damn near the top. I would for sure top 3.
They're third in the country in, I believe, rushing offense. Already rushed over 1,000 yards. And then the quarterback, Nico, he's been a special talent. Obviously,
you want to try?
No.
Okay.
No
Neither
chance.
Neither do I.
I think he's also one of those players that he's good enough that everybody's just going to call him Nico, right? Like his first name is going to become just his name. But he's been really special. Obviously, was in the same class as Jackson Arnold coming out of high school. A lot of people said, those two, and then Arch Manning, clearly the top 3 quarterbacks in that class. So that quarterback duel is going to be interesting. But he's a young guy, and I think for Oklahoma to find success defensively, they got to be able to stop the run. Tennessee's going to want to run the football, but then can they force Nico into some bad decisions? Can they have him turn the ball over, get some pressure on him, make him maybe throw into some bad coverages or a strip sack, whatever it is? I think that's where this Oklahoma defense has to find its success.
10 turnovers through 3 games for Oklahoma so far. That's tied most in the country, number 2 in the country in turnover differential at +8, I believe. I think Maryland's number 1 at +9. Something that I thought was interesting, it hadn't struck me. OU's forced 6 fumbles this year. That matches their totality of 2023.
Yeah, they last year they were, they got a ton of interceptions a year ago. This year it's kind of flip-flopped. I do think that the interceptions will eventually surpass the fumbles because fumbles are just harder to come by. But yeah, they've been really good about knocking the ball out. Obviously last week, R. Mason Thomas with the strip sack. I mean, if you can do that, that's awesome. But I think in this game, it's can you force Nico to make some bad throws? Sure. Can you take advantage of some of that? And I think the secondary and the vets that are back there, they're going to disguise some things back there that maybe Nico hasn't seen yet. No offense to the opponents that Tennessee has played, but they haven't played a ton of great defenses so far. So I think that Oklahoma and Brent Venables, they're going to have a good game plan to kind of mix that up. And then can those guys and R. Mason Thomas beat a Lance Hurd one-on-one? Can an Ethan Downs, get in the backfield for? I don't think does he have a sack yet this year?
I think he has been credited with 1 or 2.
Can he get back there more often? Caden Woolard, PJ Adebawore, who I thought was an interesting note on the coach's show that he was dealing with a little bit of was it an ankle injury?
Ankle, yeah, ligament in the ankle, I believe, is what Brent said on Monday night.
And he's starting to feel healthy. He played a lot more this past week, so those guys are going to have to be able to get after Nico and again force him into some bad decisions.
Here is Brent Venables talking about the challenge of slowing down the Vols offense.
I love the challenge. It's anybody knows me. I have a great, I'm just got to read what the stats are. Some people might be like, brag on our own guys. Well, these are the things we're looking at, and this is the challenge. And I like getting the guys on the edge of their seat. Our guys, they know, and I thought our guys have a great maturity. They've had we call be a pro. Be a pro. You show up to this building, man. You flip a switch. Again, how you think, how you work, how you take notes, how you study film, have respect for the game, have respect for the process, and this process will reward you when you respect it every single week, like it's the biggest game of the year, because it is. And so that being said, it doesn't take them long to watch the tape either. And, I'm going to call it exactly how it is. And again, this will be a fantastic, amazing environment, and one where, again, I think the strength of our team is our defense. That's where we have the most experience. Guys that are veterans in this system. We've got good competitive depth there without a whole bunch of injuries, where we haven't necessarily been exposed. You lose a few guys and all of a sudden you don't have competitive depth. and you might have another guy, but, there's nothing else behind him. So that's, we're fortunate from that standpoint, but it'll be the biggest test that we've had, to me, since we've been here.
Strong words right there.
Yep.
Talking about the Tennessee offense, and if there's been a buzzword that comes along with the Tennessee offense, tempo, tempo, tempo.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're one of the fastest teams, if not the fastest team in the country. I know that's been the case the last couple of years. I looked up the time of possession numbers, and they rank towards the bottom usually, and that's because of how fast they're going. So, they're snapping the ball, 8 seconds into the play clock. Like, it's going to be really quick. So Oklahoma is going to have to be really good about getting their defensive calls in. That was a problem a couple weeks ago against Houston. The busted play on that touchdown was because Oklahoma didn't get their call in defensively. So that can't happen this week. Tennessee's going to take advantage of that. They're going to go extremely fast. If you think Oklahoma goes fast, Tennessee's going way faster. So that's a huge point of emphasis for Oklahoma this week, is making sure that their communication is quick and timely, and they're able to get it in on time.
How much do you think it helps? And this has been talked about with some of the players we'll hear from here in a second, just in terms of they have somewhat gone against this, right, over the last couple years, running practice against Jeff Lebby's offense, who him and Josh Heupel kind of from the
Very
same
similar.
tree.
Yeah, they're very, very similar offenses. Come from the same tree, the Art Briles tree, and so I think it is somewhat beneficial. But Josh Heupel knows that too, right?
Sure.
Like, he knows that Oklahoma is going to be prepared for certain things, probably the basics that they do in their offense. So there's going to be some wrinkles. I'm sure they're going to do some different things that Oklahoma hasn't seen on film or hasn't gone against in practice. And so I think you have to, as a defense, trust your instincts. Like, I think that's such a big part of this game, is you just have to be instinctually very good. Trust your football IQ. And I think that's something that can benefit Oklahoma, because when you look out there and the amount of veteran players, whether it's a Danny Stutsman or a Billy Bowman or even a Robert Spears-Jennings, Kenai Walker, like, these guys have played a lot of football. So even if a call comes in late or whatever it may be, I think that their past experience, whether it's playing this offense in practice or whatever it is, or just playing a bunch of different looks, I think that the experience of this football team for Oklahoma defensively should help them a lot.
Here is Brent Venables, Woodi Washington, Danny Stutsman, DeJoun Terry talking about keep it up with the Tennessee tempo defensively.
So welcome to the life of a defensive coordinator. So how many did you count the other day?
I don't know.
I just know we didn't have any busts from a late call, and so that's a win.
But it's just so much faster.
Yeah, I'm only snickering because we literally live and die in that world. I try to, every once in a while, I'll get out of there and I'll go in the offensive room so I don't have to live there anymore. That's very peaceful to live in that space. If I could be reborn again, I would 100% come back as an offensive coach, respectfully. So, but it's managing that it's everything. Because, at the end of the day, if you can get lined up, if you can play with great fundamentals, great pad level, if you can be physical as a result of that, be confident as a result of that, then you have a chance to win. And if you can't, it's not a matter of winning; it's a matter of how bad are you going to lose. And so that's everything. I think defenses, top to bottom, have been better than they've ever been in handling that. But this is the stiffest challenge that we'll have, and there'll be several other teams that play with tempo throughout the year. But this will be the strongest one up to this point in time, and one of the hardest in all of college football.
No, yes, sir, definitely. Just the wide splits and the tempo for sure. We're trying our best to match that tempo in practice, and we're going to be prepared.
Yeah, I mean, it's everything. You got to have a call before you can do anything. So everyone has to be on point. Everyone has to be looking at the sideline, get the call, and just be able to communicate and play fast.
I feel like the most thing that we can do, the best thing that we can do is just get the call and just line up and play. That's the main thing. We can't be out there fidgeting around. We just got to get out and play. That's it. That's the main thing. Be ready to play at any given time.
Does it help in a way that Danny's so experienced that he can get those things in, maybe communicate it easier, faster?
Yes, sir, most definitely it is. It is great to have him back there and giving us a call and just getting us ready to play every snap.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt at all. You're going to have to try and kind of make that environment in practice. You got to practice fast, go through as many plays as you can, because that's going to be in the game. And so we're really just trying to kind of simulate that.
Fascinating matchup between an OU defense, as Brent said, that is the strength of this team versus the high-powered offense that Nico and friends will be bringing. It's kind of like what you said, though. I think that how much can you put into forcing turnovers? How much can you put into trying to make Nico make bad decisions? Right? It's going to be fascinating to see kind of what else Oklahoma can throw at him schematically. Stuff that we probably haven't seen that we know that they've been working on for weeks and weeks here moving into the SEC opener.
It's going to be really interesting. And we saw a week ago some new formations that we hadn't seen yet against Tulane, where they're bringing in several different edge rushers, whether it's PJ and Trace and R. Mason all out there at the same time, and guys dropping in coverage, and Danny Stutsman and Omosigo are rushing, and I think you're going to see all that kind of stuff, probably a bunch of other looks as well, because they want to throw as much at Tennessee as possible, really make Nico think. We talk often on here about Jackson Arnold and going through his progressions and a young quarterback and how a lot of times that just takes reps. Well, Nico has never seen something like what Brent Venables, I'm sure, is going to throw at him, and so you have to hope that at some point he's going to make the big mistake. And when you talk about a struggling offense in Oklahoma, a defensive touchdown or setting up short fields, like that's how you win this football game. Because I do think Oklahoma's offense is probably going to struggle in this game at times, if not for the most of the game. So if the defense can set them up and get a couple turnovers or score a defensive touchdown or special teams as well, like I think that can be the way that Oklahoma turns the tide and possibly wins this game.
I think Brent mentioned it during one of the clips that we've already played, just in terms of you kind of feel like there's a little bit of fire under him. Like just as a defensive coach in general, not just the head coach at Oklahoma, it feels like, and as much as we've talked about like Zach Alley taking over the defense and all that kind of stuff, it feels like he's probably around the defensive staff meetings a little bit more than maybe he has been in recent weeks because of the challenge that Tennessee brings.
Look, I said it at the beginning before that clip, but this is what Brent Venables has been building towards. This is what he wants to have. He wants to have an elite defense, and I think he looks at this as a chance to prove it on a national stage that he has been able to do that at Oklahoma. And again, it's incredible where this thing has come from defensively in just a couple of years. But now it's time to say, hey, and that doesn't mean that they don't have to win to prove that, I think is my point. And obviously Oklahoma wants to win, and I think that they think inside that building they can go win this football game. But if you can go out there and hold Tennessee to under 30 points, I think that's a massive success on Saturday.
Half of what they've scored throughout the first 3 weeks.
I mean, it would be a huge step in the right direction for this thing, and I think Oklahoma can do that. I really do. I think that this defense is legit, but we're going to find out. We've talked a lot about, are they good, are they great, are they elite? And I think we're going to find out which category this defense is in on Saturday.
You said it. The eyes of the college football world will be on Norman, Oklahoma on Saturday night, the best game on the slate in the entire college football weekend. And College Game Day coming back to Norman, Oklahoma, 6-2, the 9th trip that Game Day has made to Norman, the first time since 2020. Are you familiar with all the games that Oklahoma has played with Game Day in town? This will be the 41st time Oklahoma's been on Game Day just in general, obviously coming up with the 9th time here in Norman.
I'm not. You'd have to, I was.
There was a couple of these that I didn't really necessarily remember until I recalled.
Was Game Day in town for 2008 Texas Tech game?
They were.
Okay.
They were.
I was at that one. I was at the 2012 Notre Dame, and then 2020 was obviously the COVID. I wasn't at that one. I was living in Denver at that time, but I don't know the ones before those.
2000 was the first time. Nebraska 31-14. 2001 Kansas State, OU wins 38-37. 2003 Oklahoma State 52-9 was the final. 2007 Missouri comes to town with Chase Daniel 41-31. 2008 Texas Tech 65-21, the jump around game that probably needs no introduction. And then obviously 2020 Bedlam, Oklahoma State comes into town. OU wins 41-13. The two losses. I think I was at all of these games. 95 Colorado comes to town. I want to say that was the first night game in Norman, if I remember correctly. 38-17 Colorado won. They were the number 4 team in the country. As Kerry reminds me in my headset, Coy Detmer, the quarterback for the Buffs that weekend. And then obviously 2012 with Notre Dame, Manti Te'o. Rest in peace to Lene Kua. Is that how we say it? Lene Kukua? I don't want to disparage
right.
somebody's memory. And Notre Dame wins 30-13 in that game. In a game that kind of got off the rails. James Harden got traded. A weird
Hopefully
night
no Thunder
overall.
players get traded on Saturday night.
Kendrick Williams coming off some knee surgery. The big question around Norman, who's going to be the game day picker? Danny Stutsman and I had a nice little back and forth about this on Monday night.
Game day here, who would you want to see as the guest picker?
Maybe like Baker or something like that. I feel like that's a good answer. Probably.
Got a game Sunday, though.
I mean, you can make it work. Maybe they should do like the Boz or something like that. I mean, I think I know what team you'd say, but yeah, Boz would be pretty cool. Good answer. How about what do you have?
I was going to do it myself. I'd put myself out there.
Let's be realistic.
Yeah, Baker's not bad, but yeah, Boz would be good. What about Blake Griffin? Blake Griffin wouldn't be bad. Sam Bradford wouldn't be bad.
That's a good one. Any kind of non-biased?
Well, non-OU guys?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe Ryan Walters, the Secretary of Education for Oklahoma.
I like that. That's a good one.
It'd be interesting. I think that'd definitely be interesting.
That sounds good. Maybe get Mike Hawk out there. That'd be cool too.
That's my vote.
Lana Del Rey?
Yeah, sure. She can sing. All right, we good?
Yeah.
Perfect.
I can sing.
Okay, I'm ready to get out of here. And I injected the Ryan Walters comment. The comment section, he doesn't know who that is.
Our YouTube comment section's about to be on fire.
Well, I'm sure that they support one and the same. It's one of those things, but it is going to be fun. Obviously, I think that maybe Blake Griffin's name's been thrown out there quite a bit from what we've heard. Yep. I know that Boz is going to be around. Patty Gasso's going to be around.
Bob Stoops would be great.
Bob Stoops would be fantastic. I don't know if he would do it, though.
Yeah, I think with the whole Heupel situation, I don't know if he would do it, but Blake Griffin would be great. Very funny guy. I know Trey Young's name has been thrown out. I think Trey Young's done it before, maybe at an OU Texas or something.
Baker
was great last year.
It's going to be hard for any of the NFL guys to get to town with games obviously on Sunday.
Yeah, I don't anticipate it'll be an NFL guy just because of that. But it'll be cool. It'll be cool to see. I'm just excited. Where's it going to be at? South Oval?
South Oval, which is like my second favorite. I've always been a sucker for the East Side Stadium, the backdrop of the east side of the stadium over on the track. There's a lot of tailgating over there, though, so I know they're kind of coordinating everything over on the west side of, I guess, technically campus in the South Oval. And I think they've had it in front of the library, in front of the Bazell before, which is kind of a cool setting. I don't think the people probably that are watching it on television or anything like that, they don't realize like how close that is to the stadium. It's just, basically across Ash Street. So it's going to be fun.
I wonder where is McAfee's going to be on campus Friday, right?
Yeah, I believe he's going to be inside the stadium doing his show on Friday afternoon for the Pat McAfee show. So it's going to be fun.
Cool. We should sneak over there, maybe get on set.
I think that there's a chance that we will have that opportunity, and it might be the best opportunity to meet Ben Herbstreit as well.
That'd be we gotta meet Ben. You're gonna meet he'll be down on the field pregame. I'm sure you'll get to meet him for real.
I'm nervous. I don't want to bug Ben.
Yeah.
Forget Kirk. I love Kirk, whatever, but I don't want to bug Ben.
There's been a lot of haters have been on the internet lately.
Well, those people are what we call miserable.
Yes.
And to a certain extent, I'm miserable. So I guess I kind of get where people are coming from, but we love Ben Herbstreit.
Yeah, I love dogs.
Absolutely. John Hessler was the starting quarterback for Colorado. Threw a touchdown pass, and I'm not making this up. This is per Kerry Murdoch to Ray Caruth. Do you have any Ray Caruth memories?
I don't know who that is.
Interesting. He killed his family.
We need to get we need to get Kerry.
That's a fact.
We need to get Kerry a mic.
And
that's
then
the next step.
And then he hid in the back of his trunk, and that's where the cops found him.
Okay, well, and that's Sooner Scoop YouTube page, our channel. Thanks for tuning in.
His son lived. Now I'm being told that I got bad information. Disregard everything that I said. I think he tried terrible, terrible stuff. It's not funny. Really not. We've dug ourselves a hole. It's time to go. All right, for George Stoya, I'm Eddie Radosevich. We'll see you right back here on the SoonerScoop.com YouTube channel for the game day preview, which we're excited about as we continue a massive, massive week here in Norman with OU Tennessee coming up on Saturday. We'll talk to you then.